Most people think fatigue simply means they need more rest or that their sleep schedule is off, but in truth, fatigue goes much deeper than that. You can sleep for 8, 9, even 10 hours and still wake up feeling like you've barely rested. The reason is that your body doesn't run on sleep. It runs on energy, and energy comes from your cells. Every single cell in your body has a tiny energy factory called the mitochondrion, and this is where the real story begins. Fatigue, in most cases, isn't a sleep disorder. It's a cellular energy problem. When your mitochondria aren't working properly, your body cannot make enough energy to keep you alert, focused, and active. You might find yourself constantly reaching for caffeine or sugar, thinking it will help, but all it does is create a temporary spark followed by a deeper crash, because the fundamental issue, energy production at the cellular level, remains unsolved. Inside the mitochondria, a process known as cellular respiration converts nutrients like fat, protein, and glucose into ATP, the molecule that fuels nearly every function in your body. However, this process requires more than just calories. It depends on enzymes, cofactors, and vitamins that help the mitochondria efficiently extract energy. When these mitochondria are damaged or overwhelmed, they can't keep up with the body's energy demands. The result is a type of tiredness that no amount of sleep can fix because your body's internal batteries simply aren't charging properly. Think of it like trying to charge your phone with a broken cable. You can leave it plugged in all night, but it won't fill up because the connection is weak. The connection is weak. Several factors damage or weaken the mitochondria. One of the biggest is oxidative stress, which occurs when the body has too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants to neutralize them. Free radicals are unstable molecules that damage the mitochondrial membrane and DNA, making the mitochondria less efficient. This is one reason why people who consume highly processed foods, vegetable oils, and sugar tend to feel constantly drained. They're feeding the fire of oxidative stress. Another factor is inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation disrupts mitochondrial function and blocks the pathways that produce ATP. The body, instead of efficiently converting nutrients to energy, begins diverting resources to fight inflammation, leaving you tired and unfocused. Nutrient deficiency is another hidden cause. Even if you're eating enough food, you might not be getting the right nutrients for your mitochondria to work well. Nutrients like magnesium, vitamin B2, B3, coenzyme Q10, and lipoic acid are essential for energy production. Without them, the mitochondria slow down, energy output drops, and fatigue sets in. This is why people who start eating nutrient-dense foods like leafy greens, eggs, salmon, and liver often notice a surge in energy that sleep alone could never provide. They're finally feeding their mitochondria the raw materials they need to generate power. Hormonal imbalances also play a major role. When cortisol, the stress hormone, stays elevated for too long, it begins to suppress mitochondrial activity. The thyroid gland, which controls metabolism and energy output, can also slow down under chronic stress or poor nutrition. When thyroid hormones drop, mitochondria reduce their output and the body enters an energy-saving mode. You may notice you're tired, cold, and sluggish all the time, even if you're sleeping plenty. This isn't a rest problem, it's a signaling problem between your hormones and your energy factories. The liver's condition influences this process as well. The liver helps manage blood sugar levels, detoxifies the body, and produces compounds essential for metabolism. If the liver becomes fatty or sluggish from too much sugar, alcohol, or processed food, toxins accumulate and nutrients aren't processed efficiently. The result is less energy for the mitochondria, leading to systemic fatigue. People often underestimate how closely connected the liver is to their overall energy levels. Cleaning up the diet, fasting, and supporting liver function can have a dramatic effect on fatigue because it restores the body's ability to produce clean fuel. Fixing cellular energy requires addressing these deeper issues. The most powerful way to start is by reducing sugar and refined carbs, because this helps restore insulin sensitivity and reduces the strain on your mitochondria. When insulin resistance is present, your cells can't take in nutrients effectively, and your mitochondria are deprived of the very fuel they need. Fasting between meals gives the mitochondria time to repair, while nutrient-rich foods replenish what's been lost. The combination of intermittent fasting and real food, especially foods high in trace minerals and vitamins, creates an environment where your mitochondria thrive. When your mitochondria recover, you'll notice a profound difference in how you feel. The fog lifts, the body feels lighter, and energy feels natural instead of forced. You're not relying on caffeine or willpower anymore because your energy source has been restored from within. This is why the solution to fatigue isn't in getting more sleep. It's in healing the very systems that create energy in the first place. Once you do that, your body knows exactly how to keep you energized, focused, and alive throughout the day. Mitochondria are the true engines of life, the tiny structures inside every cell that take nutrients and oxygen and convert them into usable energy known as ATP. Without them, every heartbeat, every thought, every movement would come to a halt. Yet in today's world, most people's mitochondria are not functioning at their best. Instead of generating a steady stream of clean energy, they are overworked, damaged, or starved of the nutrients they need to perform. This explains why so many people experience deep fatigue even when they sleep well or eat enough food. It's not about calories or hours of rest. It's about how efficiently these microscopic powerhouses are turning fuel into energy. When the mitochondria weaken, it's like a city with a failing power grid. Lights start flickering, systems go down, and everything slows to a crawl. You may feel that same breakdown in your body: brain fog, low stamina, heavy muscles, and an inability to focus. Mitochondria don't just create energy, they also determine how well the body adapts to stress, how fast you recover, and how youthful you feel. Every organ that demands high energy, the heart, brain, liver, and muscles, is packed with mitochondria. When these organs don't get enough energy, their function starts to decline, setting off a chain reaction that affects your whole system. You might experience mental fatigue, memory lapses, slower metabolism, and even mood changes, all because your cellular batteries are running low. The problem isn't that your body isn't trying, it's that the mitochondria aren't producing enough power, and that's where lifestyle choices make the biggest difference. Diet plays a major role in either supporting or damaging mitochondria. Diets rich in sugar, refined carbs, and processed oils produce oxidative stress and inflammation, which attack the mitochondrial membrane and reduce efficiency. The mitochondria become clogged like an engine filled with bad fuel, and their ability to generate energy drops dramatically. On the other hand, when you switch to nutrient-dense foods, like vegetables, healthy fats, and quality protein, you're giving your mitochondria clean, stable fuel. Fats especially are the preferred source of long-lasting energy for mitochondria because they burn cleaner than sugar and produce less oxidative stress. This is one reason ketogenic diets or intermittent fasting often make people feel alert and energetic. They're literally shifting their bodies into a mode where mitochondria can function more efficiently. Another hidden factor that weakens mitochondria is environmental toxicity. Heavy metals, pesticides, and synthetic chemicals from processed foods and polluted air accumulate over time, blocking the enzymes that mitochondria need to produce ATP. The liver and detox pathways become overloaded, and instead of generating energy, the body uses up energy trying to protect itself. Supporting liver health through cruciferous vegetables, lemon water, and avoiding processed oils can help clear out these toxins, giving mitochondria the freedom to function normally again. The cleaner your internal environment, the better your cells can breathe and generate energy. Exercise also plays a unique role in mitochondrial health. When you move your body, especially through high-intensity or resistance training, you stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria. Your body literally builds more energy factories in response to physical demand. This is why people who start exercising regularly notice improved endurance, sharper thinking, and higher mood. Their energy systems are multiplying. But the key is balance. Overtraining or chronic stress without enough recovery can do the opposite and damage mitochondria through excess cortisol and inflammation. So it's about intelligent movement, challenging your body enough to grow new mitochondria, but giving it enough rest to rebuild. Certain nutrients are absolutely essential for keeping mitochondria strong. Coenzyme Q10 acts like an electrical wire inside the mitochondrial membrane, transferring electrons to generate ATP efficiently. B vitamins, especially B1, B2, and B3, act as cofactors in the metabolic pathways that break down nutrients into usable energy. Magnesium stabilizes ATP, making it usable by the body. When any of these are missing, it's like removing key components from a machine. It still runs, but poorly and with a lot of waste. This is why people who correct nutrient deficiencies often experience a rapid improvement in energy levels. Their mitochondria finally have the parts they need to work at full speed again. Mitochondria also communicate with the rest of the body. When they're damaged, they send distress signals that trigger inflammation and stress responses. Over time, this creates a cycle where poor mitochondrial function leads to inflammation, and inflammation further damages the mitochondria. Breaking this cycle requires lowering sugar, getting enough antioxidants from real food, fasting occasionally, and managing stress. Deep breathing, good sleep quality, and mindfulness all help calm the body's stress systems, giving mitochondria the quiet, low-stress environment they need to thrive. When you start supporting your mitochondria through nutrient-rich food, fasting, detoxification, and balanced movement, you'll feel a deep, stable kind of energy return. It's not the jittery energy from caffeine or sugar. It's calm, sustainable power from within. The mitochondria are the foundation of your vitality. When they work well, everything else follows. Your brain sharpens, your metabolism stabilizes, and your mood lifts. The real cause of fatigue isn't in your sleep pattern. It's in the silent, microscopic engines inside your cells that power every aspect of your life. One of the most overlooked causes of low energy is insulin resistance, a condition that quietly drains the body's ability to generate power at the cellular level. Insulin's job is to help glucose enter your cells, where it can be burned by the mitochondria to produce ATP, the body's main energy molecule. But when you consume too much sugar, refined carbohydrates, or frequent snacks throughout the day, your body keeps releasing insulin to control blood sugar levels. Over time, your cells become resistant to insulin signal, much like someone ignoring a sound they hear too often. When that happens, glucose stays in the bloodstream and your cells can't get the fuel they need to produce energy. The result is that you feel fatigued, mentally foggy, and unmotivated, even though your blood is filled with sugar that your body can't properly use. The irony is that insulin resistance often makes you crave more sugar because your cells are starving for energy. So you eat more carbs, which raises blood sugar further, forcing the pancreas to produce even more insulin. This vicious cycle keeps the body stuck in a constant state of high insulin and low energy. The mitochondria, starved of usable fuel, begin to malfunction. Instead of burning fat efficiently, your body becomes dependent on glucose, which provides quick bursts of energy followed by sudden crashes. That's why people with insulin resistance often feel energetic after a meal, only to become sluggish and sleepy an hour later. Their blood sugar spikes, then plummets as insulin overcompensates. When insulin resistance sets in, it doesn't just affect energy levels, it alters the entire metabolic system. Excess insulin promotes fat storage, especially around the liver and abdomen. This buildup of fat further damages the liver and worsens insulin resistance, creating another feedback loop. The liver's inability to properly process sugar and fat leads to fatty liver disease, which further reduces your body's capacity to maintain steady energy. At this point, no amount of coffee or sleep can fix the fatigue because the root cause lies in the cellular machinery being blocked from doing its job. Another major issue with insulin resistance is that it restricts access to fat as a fuel source. Under normal conditions, your body switches between burning glucose and fat for energy. But when insulin levels remain high, the fat-burning switch gets turned off. You become locked into sugar metabolism, which is unstable and inefficient. This is why people who lower their carbohydrate intake and begin intermittent fasting often experience a dramatic increase in energy. Their insulin levels drop, fat becomes accessible for fuel, and the mitochondria finally receive a steady, clean source of energy that doesn't spike and crash. Fat produces far more ATP than glucose, which is why it provides long-lasting energy without the ups and downs. The brain, being one of the most energy-demanding organs, suffers deeply from insulin resistance. Brain fog, poor concentration, and low motivation often stem from neurons not receiving enough energy because insulin can't do its job. Some researchers even refer to Alzheimer's as a type 3 diabetes because of how insulin resistance affects brain cells. Once glucose can't properly fuel the brain, cognitive performance drops, and fatigue feels mental as much as physical. Correcting insulin resistance restores energy to the brain, improving focus, clarity, and mood in a way that no stimulant can replicate. Lowering insulin naturally starts with reducing the frequency of eating. Every time you eat, insulin rises. When you eat constantly throughout the day, snacks, drinks, or even a healthy smoothies, your insulin never gets a break. Intermittent fasting gives the body that needed rest period, allowing insulin to drop in cells to regain sensitivity. When the body goes several hours without food, it begins to tap into fat reserves for energy, and the mitochondria adapt by becoming stronger and more efficient. Combined with a low-carb, high-nutrient diet, this process gradually reverses insulin resistance. Another key element is nutrient density. Certain nutrients, such as chromium, magnesium, and potassium, help improve insulin sensitivity, while B vitamins and trace minerals support mitochondrial function. Processed foods which lack these nutrients only make insulin resistance worse. Replacing them with real foods like leafy greens, avocados, eggs, salmon, and nuts provides the body with what it needs to restore balance. Adequate protein also helps stabilize blood sugar and reduce cravings, preventing the constant need for quick carbs. As insulin resistance improves, people often notice that their energy stabilizes throughout the day. They no longer feel the afternoon slump or the intense hunger that forces them to snack every few hours. Their body becomes metabolically flexible, able to burn both fat and sugar efficiently. This flexibility is the hallmark of true metabolic health and the foundation of lasting energy. The key is understanding that fatigue rooted in insulin resistance cannot be solved by sleeping more or adding caffeine. It can only be fixed by changing how your body generates and uses energy at the cellular level. Once insulin levels normalize and the mitochondria receive steady fuel again, energy returns naturally, mental clarity sharpens, and the body feels lighter and more alive. The body's ability to create energy depends not only on fuel and hormones, but also on the presence of essential nutrients that support every step of the mitochondrial process. When these nutrients are missing or deficient, the entire energy production system slows down, leading to persistent fatigue, brain fog, and poor concentration. Even if you eat regularly and get enough calories, you can still feel chronically tired because calories are not the same as nutrition. Energy production is a complex biochemical process that relies on vitamins, minerals, and cofactors to turn food into usable energy. Without these building blocks, the mitochondria struggle to generate ATP, and the body shifts into an energy-conserving mode that leaves you exhausted even after rest. The mitochondria need a wide range of nutrients to function efficiently. One of the most important is the family of B vitamins, particularly bone, B2, B3, and B5. These vitamins act as cofactors in the enzymatic reactions that convert carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into ATP. Thiamine, bone, helps start the energy process by enabling the breakdown of glucose into usable fuel. Riboflavin, B2, and niacin, B3, are critical for transferring electrons within the mitochondrial electron transport chain, where the majority of ATP is produced. Pantothenic acid, B5, supports the creation of coenzyme A, which helps metabolize fatty acids into energy. A deficiency in any of these B vitamins leads to incomplete energy conversion, so your body may burn food but still fail to produce enough power for cells to function optimally. And magnesium is another nutrient that plays a vital role in energy production. It stabilizes ATP and activates hundreds of enzymes involved in metabolism. Without magnesium, ATP cannot be used by the body, meaning even if your mitochondria are generating energy, it remains locked away. Magnesium deficiency is extremely common due to modern farming practices and processed diets that strip away minerals from food. Symptoms like muscle cramps, anxiety, irregular heartbeat, and fatigue are all signs that your body's energy system is struggling from a lack of magnesium. Coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10, is one of the most important compounds for mitochondrial health. It acts as an electron carrier in the mitochondria and also protects the cell from oxidative damage. Low levels of CoQ10 lead to sluggish energy production and increased free radical stress, which further damages the mitochondria. People who take certain medications, like statins, often develop fatigue because these drugs deplete CoQ10 levels. Restoring it through diet or supplementation can significantly improve energy and cardiovascular health. The heart, which has one of the highest concentrations of mitochondria in the body, relies heavily on CoQ10 to function properly. Estrogen dominance, another common hormonal imbalance, can slow bile flow and cause fat accumulation in the liver. This is why both men and women who experience prolonged stress or hormonal imbalance often develop fatigue linked to poor liver performance. The liver needs rest periods to regenerate, which is why intermittent fasting is so beneficial. When you go several hours without eating, the liver gets a break from constant processing and can begin to repair itself. This regeneration period allows for better glucose regulation, improved fat metabolism, and higher energy levels. Nutrient support for the liver is another key factor. The liver thrives on compounds like choline, found in eggs and beef liver, which helps prevent fat buildup. Sulfur-containing foods like garlic and onions support detoxification enzymes. Antioxidants like vitamin C and glutathione help protect the liver from oxidative stress. Many people underestimate how a few simple dietary changes, such as cutting out sugar, processed oils, and alcohol while adding more leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, and high-quality proteins, can dramatically improve liver function and energy levels. As the liver becomes more efficient, the blood becomes cleaner, nutrient distribution improves, and mitochondria receive the raw materials they need to produce energy smoothly. When the liver is healthy, the entire body functions in harmony. You experience stable energy throughout the day, mental clarity, and faster recovery after physical or emotional stress. The skin clears up, digestion improves, and inflammation goes down because the liver is efficiently processing and removing toxins. Fatigue begins to fade not because of stimulants or extra sleep, but because your body's internal power grid, your liver and mitochondria, are working together again. True energy doesn't come from quick fixes or caffeine. It comes from restoring the natural balance of your organs, and the liver sits right at the center of that balance, quietly fueling every cell and system in your body.